And welcome to another exciting episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. Guys, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to bring to you. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, literally. I'm about to fall off. Guys, I've got none other than Rommel Anacan. Guys, this person is absolutely incredible. If you're not following him on LinkedIn, following his website, all the places you need to follow Rommel. So you guys give it up for Rommel. Can you hear him? I hear him clapping for you, Rommel. It is deafening. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, Rommel, thank you so much for being a part of the Super Fantastic Exchange. I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, awesome. Well, Gary, first of all, thank you for having me on, and for all of you watching, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. So my name, as Gary mentioned, I'm Rommel Anacan. From a professional perspective, I am a speaker and a coach. What I'm probably best known for is helping people win with people so that they can win in life. And so whether this is in like relational leadership or relational selling, and most recently helping people in their marriages, things like that, that's kind of my piece of the whole motivation expert business kind of kingdom here. It's just to help people connect better with people. So I love doing that. I get to travel around all over the place. The travel has not been as extensive in the last couple of years, as you can imagine, but a lot of virtual things like this, which I honestly kind of really love, by the way. I love the traveling, but it's nice when you don't have to travel as much. So I get to do that. I live in Southern California with my wife, our daughter, and our dog. What else do I do? On my spare time, I'm one of the assistant pastors in my local church, and so that's something that's near and dear to me. I love watching Hallmark movies. That's another big one. So this is I know as we're filming this, it's Christmas season, so it is all Hallmark and these kinds of movies all about. But I really do. I just love helping people connect better with people. Like, one of the things I discovered many, many years ago was that winning with people is the heart of success. And so I realized there's a lot of areas I can't help people on, like upper level math, science, that's not my thing, but I can help people connect better with people. And that's what I get to do every day. And connect with folks just like you, Gary, and everyone who's listening and watching. So that's my 2-minute shtick there in terms of who I am.
That was a good shtick, a good spiel. And you know what the great thing about doing online stuff is you never have to pack a bag or go through security to do a Zoom meeting. So, I mean, that's
oh my God. It is. My first couple trips after not traveling for a while, I definitely had some of those moments where, I was like, I don't think I missed this as much. I do. I miss the live groups. I missed being able to see places of the country that life may not normally take me in. And that part I absolutely missed. The airports and the airplanes and people not listening to the flight attendants or the flight crew. That
not so much. I agree with you there. Well, hey, so Rommel, you inspire so many people, myself included. And so I always find it fascinating to find out what inspires the person that inspires other people. And I asked you, a couple of points, what inspires you? And you shared with me 3 incredible points. And I want you to talk on each of these. The first one you shared is, I'm inspired by hearing other people's stories. So how does that inspire you? Where does that come from?
Oh man, I think, first of all, I think story is really the currency, right, of people. Whether it's a good book, it's a great movie, it's a Hallmark movie, whatever it is. We love good stories. And so I think number one, there's just something about a good story that captivates us, that captures us, that speaks to us in a way that, an encyclopedia can't, or just a fact-based thing can't. And so I think number one, I think we're just wired for story. But 2, I think I am really inspired by hearing people's stories. Like I love just hearing, where people have come from, what they've done, what are their perspectives, what have they overcome, what are they overcoming, what are their challenges. And I think, for me, like it helps. A good story captures my heart, and then it helps me kind of be able to identify those places where either maybe there's something I'm struggling with, or something that I didn't even know was a thing that that I was dealing with. Like, for example, like one of my favorite movies is Rudy, the football player, not so football player. And, and I've watched that movie countless times. And at the end of the movie, if you've never seen it, I'm not going to, although it's a 30-year-old movie, I think. But,
no spoilers.
I'm not going to spoil it. But at the end of it, I've seen the ending so many times, and there's still a part of me that every time I watch it, there's still this emotion in watching this happen, because I can really identify with Rudy, right? I can identify with him as a character. I can identify with his struggles and with his overcoming the things that he had to. And I think there's a part of me that is going, oh, yeah, and if he could do it, I can do it, and it's just cool. I love just sitting down, whether it's sitting down with someone over a cup of coffee and just going, hey, tell me what's going on, or something big. Like, I know, like, obviously, for you, like, well, how did you end up writing your book, and how did you end up being, like the frameworks that you teach, how do you do that? Or, even little things like, how did you end up rooting for that team or something like that? You just find out so much about people. So I just love hearing people share, their stories, so that you get a better idea of who they are and what they're about, and it just helps you build that connection. And then they inspire me, especially when the stories are of overcoming and where they've come from and where they are now and where they're going, and those kinds of things.
Yeah, you become the cheerleader for the people that you're listening to. I love how you said that, hearing people's stories is the currency, and apologize for misquoting you, but it's like the currency of human interaction and human connection. I mean, I really, that to me really spoke to me, because I really believe when you hear somebody's story, whether it's in person or you're watching that movie Rudy, you're really investing your attention and your awareness and interest in that person, and you get something out of that when you have a really good story. So
absolutely. And a story can cut through the clutter like very few things, like it really is, whether it's me sharing my story with someone else, or someone else sharing an aspect of their story with them. And so it is, so it's cool. I just love hearing, I love hearing people's stuff, and I love reading biographies, and I love, and I love watching documentaries about people. And then on the one-on-one and the people in my life, it's just fun to, get to know people a little bit better through their story.
It's been that human currency, that interaction.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, so the next thing that you shared is you're inspired by growth, and I want you to kind of share why does this growth inspire you? Where does that come from?
So it really came from me struggling, and I think so. About, how long has it been now? Maybe 7-8 years ago, I was in one of those moments of my life where everything was just stuck, right? My marriage was stuck. I mean, more than stuck. We're moving backwards in a hurry. My business was not expanding to the degree that I wanted. I didn't have the kind of friendships that I wanted. My spiritual life wasn't, where I wanted it, and everything everywhere was just kind of stuck. And I remember meeting with a mentor, the person who would end up being my mentor, right? This is our first meeting together. We're at this coffee shop that had never been updated since it had opened in the 1970s, and I remember I'm having my Diet Coke or something. He had an iced tea, and I laid out my story as to why I was interested in meeting with him. And again, it was just, everything was a disaster and I needed help. And he looked at me and he asked me, he asked me a question. He said, "Hey, Rommel, are you open to, like feedback and learning and teaching, and like me sharing you with things? Are you open to that?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Well, great." And I realized I just opened the door to him to be able to just, hammer me. And he did. He just said, "Hey, Rommel," said, "Hey, your best thinking got you in the mess you're in right now. So if you're willing to, like, listen to what I have to share with you and listen to some of these things and just walk with me, I will walk with you and help you grow. Wow. I will help you." That was essentially the message he gave me. Now, it took me a little while to recover from that, blow upside the head. And I didn't like him in that particular moment, but he was right, because I was sitting there across from him asking for his help.
Yeah.
And so what I realized, in that process, that I just needed to grow. Like, I had so many places in my life where I was just hitting the wall. I was hitting the wall of whether it was the wall because of like my relational style or my communication style, or the wall based on like my maybe limiting beliefs or thinking or even unresolved issues. I mean, we all kind of have baggage we carry that can affect us. And so I realized that the antidote to all of that was to grow. And so as I started this very slow journey of growth, very, very slow.
I get you.
But it was really good, then you could started to see the fruit of it. And then as I started to grow, this funny thing happened. Like my marriage got better, my business started to get better. I was a better speaker, I was a better coach, I was a better friend, like a better parent, like all of these things. But what was funny is as the growing was happening, I wasn't noticing that I was changing in the moment, but it's like one of those watershed moments was maybe about a year in of working with my mentor and doing some other things as well. And he just looked at me over coffee one day and said, "Hey, Rommel, you just seem different." And he said, "You're less frenetic now than you were, when we first started meeting." And I was like, "Oh, but I've never been a kind of frenetic-y guy." And he was like, "No, like your internal energy was just, you were all frenetic on the inside. You were all chaotic." And and he was right. But when he told me that, it was one of the first big signs that, I'm moving in the right direction. And what it was growth, right? So I needed to grow. And when I saw the fruit of growth in my life, when I saw the fruit of tackling the tough issues, asking the tough questions, going there, asking people or telling people I needed help, for me, it involved, like, honestly, like I said, meeting with a mentor. It involved doing some counseling. It involved being a part of some groups so that I could get some group support and help, and diving into books and listening to every podcast I could. It was a pretty, and I still do, many of those things. But so I'm inspired by it because I just see the fruit of the growth. And even now as a speaker and as a consultant, as a coach, when I work with, even like whether it's really big teams or if I'm working with a small team or I'm working with an individual, I can see pretty quickly where the growth stops. So I guess a better way to put it, so if there's not a desire to grow, you can see it. You can see it. And it's just the wall. And so, so I know for me, I'm inspired by it because I saw the fruit of it. And then I think going back to the story thing, Gary, I'm just inspired when I hear people's growth journeys. Like, I love it when I hear people say, so this is where I was, this is what I did, here's where I am. Wow. And I love hearing that because it gives me energy and fuel and motivation to keep going. And it helps me not beat myself up when I keep struggling with the same thing again and again. Or it gives me encouragement that I'm moving in the right direction. So I think growth is key. And actually, John Maxwell has this great quote somewhere about growth. And I think he said something like the older I get, the more I know I don't know. And the more I know, I have to grow.
That's so true.
And I was like, yes. And like the older I get, the more I know I don't know. Like, I don't have all the answers I thought I had 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, 20 years ago, for sure, I thought I had them all. Yeah. And 10 years ago, I'm like, okay, I've got some. And now I'm much more aware that I need to grow. And so I just am inspired for that. And I love it when I see people pursuing their own growth and investing their own growth and watching the fruit that creates in their professional lives and their personal lives too. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Yeah. And, one of the things I found in, kind of the initial part of your story is I find if somebody has a spirit of offense, that's a block, it's a veil or a closed door that there's not going to be any growth. And I believe once they connect and you connected with the right alignment, that person at the coffee shop that ended up being your mentor, you lifted that veil of that spirit of offense and it allowed you to grow. And I think a lot of us we're so comfortable and behind that spirit of offense that we just don't.
No, that's such a, yes. And man, that spirit of offense just permeates everything today anyway. But it's so true, I think, because one of the things I've really discovered from a growth perspective is the areas that have had the biggest fruit for me are where I've learned to do what comes unnaturally, right? And so that requires growth, like to do something that doesn't come natural, to do something that feels diametrically opposed to how I'm wired, right, requires a tremendous amount of growth. And I think we're so naturally wired to protect ourselves anyway, so that anything that feels like embarrassment or that I'm being threatened, like we're just going to put the walls up to protect ourselves. And so you also have to learn when those walls are helping you and when those walls are preventing you from going to where you want to go. But I'm with you that the offense thing
that's rough. I'm right there with you.
To post something on social media, I'm like, should I post this? And it's not even a strong opinion, it might just, I think I posted something on pumpkin space latte or something at the start of fall or something. And man, I had a bunch of comments from people. I was like, oh,
ooh, sorry.
This was just on coffee.
Agreed.
Oh my gosh.
So Rommel, we got to your third point, and I really like this one. You're inspired in helping other people, relationships, and as a leader in their marriages. This is foundational. So tell me, where does this, why are you inspired by this?
I'm inspired by it, I think, because it's so central to everything we do, right? It really is. Like, if you discovered early on, and really going through divorce was the big piece of many years ago, was that if you want to have a great life, you want to have great relationships, right? So if you're married, you want to have a great marriage. If you're at work, you want to have great relationships with your coworkers. If you're in a part of a team, you want to have great relationship with people. Like, relationships are central to the joy that we have in our lives. We're wired for connection. We're wired to want to be with people. But the problem, and I think we've also been talking about it, is the problem is that it's natural to want to be in a relationship, but it's not natural to know what to do, because we're so different, and so what is a loving thing for me is not loving to my wife, and vice versa, or my leadership style may not be the right leadership style for everyone who, is on a team that I might lead. And so it's navigating all of that. And so for me, I think when I realized that I was passionate about this, and as so many things are, I'm passionate about it because it was just this really big struggle in my life, going through that divorce and all the things I learned from it then made me excited about wanting to share this with other people so that they could avoid the same issues. And so originally it started out with me just wanting to help people in their marriages. It then kind of, as I was moving up in the corporate ladder, it morphed into helping people communicate better, so they could sell better, or they could lead better, they could have better customer service. And now we're coming kind of full circle again back into helping people with their marriages. And so I'm just inspired because it was fun for me, number one, to kind of figure out, I like this, right? This is something that I can do, and it's something that I have experience with, and it's something that is meaningful to me, and I know it's meaningful to other people. And then I'm inspired when if I'm able to help someone in some way, even if it's one takeaway or one something that someone walks away from that betters any kind of relationship in their life, whether it's a professional relationship or personal relationship, it just, makes me feel good. Like, we were talking earlier, like the speaking thing and the consulting, like that doesn't feel like work for me. When I get to do stuff like this, the creating content or this being on a stage, or whether it's speaking to 2 people or, a couple thousand people, that's the easy part. Like the travel part, not as much, but like, that's the easy part because this one-on-one connection, fuels me, and it motivates me, and it encourages me. And then when I see other people, like I'll get messages sometimes or DMs from people that attended a session or maybe, watched a webinar or something. And they got that one takeaway that really helped them maybe see something a little bit different, or one strategy they could use to overcome a relational or communication challenge they had. And it just feels good to know that in some way, like something that I'm passionate about can also help make a small difference or a big difference depending on someone's situation, in someone's life. So it's just cool. It's cool to be able to do.
Oh, I love that. And I love how you've, for a lot of people, just helping people is like, it's just what they do. It kind of is their vocation. And then they have an occupation over here where they're working. Yeah. You've been able to combine those two, your vocation and occupation, to, make a living of helping people, and you're passionate about it. You love it. And I love how all of your things that inspire you layer on top of each other so well to help that continued growth. And Rommel, this is great stuff. And I wish I had more time to chat with you, but we're getting close to the end of our time. So I want to give you an opportunity to close us out with a parting thought.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Gary. This has been fun. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you everyone for listening. And, for everyone just watching, just thank you for joining in and for listening. And I would encourage you, like, really the big thing is, I shared a little bit earlier, but like, if you want to win in life, right, you have to have great relationships. And so if there's anything I'd love for you to take away from today is just do one thing today. Do one thing today that helps you in one of your key significant relationships in your life. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be if you want it to be, but man, just do that one thing. And, and winning with people really is the heart of success. So wherever it is you want to go, whatever it is you want to do, the fastest way to get there, I've discovered, is to win with people. And if you do that, things will fall into place. And not only are you going to get the results that you want, but it's just going to be a whole lot more fun and fulfilling and meaningful along the way. So that's what I would share with everyone. Wow. So thanks for listening, guys.
Boy, that guys, that right there, that is Rommel wisdom. So you guys need to write that down, put it on you, and just hang on to it. That's fantastic. Rommel, how can people get in touch with you if they're interested in connecting with you?
Oh yeah, fantastic. Well, there's a couple different ways. Maybe the easiest way is if you just look me up on Instagram. It's just at Rommel Anacan. That's where you can find a lot about what's going on with me. My website as well, rommelanacan.com, is another great place. On the corporate side of things, if you want to know, in terms of like my talks and keynotes and trainings, on a personal level, find me on Instagram. I've actually had a few clients reach out to me on Instagram, like DM on Instagram, which is kind of new for me. So come follow me. Let me know that you heard this. Let me know, what you found valuable from this conversation. And I'd love to just connect with everyone watching this a little bit more. So find me there.
Awesome. You guys heard it first. Thank you guys so much for joining another episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. Rommel Anacan, thank you so much. Man, great wisdom. And I'm so honored that I got a chance to connect with you and share this with everybody. So guys, we'll see you next time on the next Super Fantastic Exchange. See you guys.